The conversation continues on Houston's Morning News with Matt Patrick.
KTRH News Time is 6:47. Well, there's no partying in the county jail. There's no partying in any of the jails in Texas. Not only that, they're not giving the prisoners 3 squares on the weekend. Oh, it's breaking my heart. Jim Harrington with the Texas Civil Rights Project and State Senator John Whitmire join us. Gentlemen, welcome to Houston's Morning News. Great to have both of you.
Great, good morning.
Jim, let me start with you. The state senator has suggested that on the weekends, and other states do this as well. I think there's 6 other states that only provide 2 meals on the weekends. What is the problem, as you see it, with not having 3 meals a day on Saturdays and Sundays in Texas?
Well, it's not that there's a problem per se, not having 3 meals, but it's a question of whether they're going to be balanced or not, and also the question of whether it's going to have an effect on the prisoners in terms of getting them, more riled up and stuff. But it's a more deeper problem. That is that the system is balancing this budget on the issues of health care and food, and instead of looking at other alternatives like letting people out of medical leave when they're qualified.
Well, maybe Jim, the people shouldn't go to jail. I'm just throwing that out there. Maybe if they weren't in jail, they wouldn't have to worry.
That's kind of a facetious argument. We're not talking about getting people steaks and stuff. I'm not talking about coddling prisoners.
Yeah.
But you do have to treat people humanely, and you have to make sure they have adequate health care. You have to make sure they have adequate diet.
Let me grab.
And the thing is this: so when the system qualifies people for medical leave, that they're eligible to get out because of their health, that we're right now keeping approximately 800 people in prison who could get out. And if you want to save money, that's the way to do it.
All right, Jim, let me get State Senator John Whitmire in here just before I take my first break. And Senator, I just have about 30 seconds, but I'll start with you on the other side. How do you respond to that? Just quickly.
Well, I just think it's a big deal about nothing. Many people in society in the free world only eat 2 meals on Saturday and Sunday. It's being monitored. It's not a health issue. It's only for our low-level offenders, Jim. Out of the 158,000 inmates, only 23,000 are on this program. Those serving less than 2 years are those in our drug treatment program. And I get many letters, and it's just not an issue. They're more important issues that we ought to be discussing this morning.
All right, gentlemen, if you would hang on, let's come back and we'll talk about some of those other issues in our Texas prisons. Joining us this morning, Jim Harrington, Texas Civil Rights Project, State Senator John Whitmire. We're talking to Jim Harrington with the Texas Civil Rights Project, State Senator John Whitmire. We're talking about the fact that we are only serving 2 meals on the weekends to some of our prisoners. Also, State Senator Whitmire, we're now going to powdered milk, and apparently prisoners are crying about this as well. But that's going to save, about $2 million a year? Is that right?
Yeah, at least. And, that's just not an issue. We're not running a summer camp. This is prison. People have committed a crime to get there, and maybe we'll have motivations for them to go straight once they get out. I mean, I'm very sensitive to their health care because we don't want to be in federal court, but they're just more important things to be worried about. I'm much more interested in their visitation rules. When families show up across Texas to visit and they're not allowed to get in for technical reasons, like someone didn't bring their ID, a child, for instance. So, Jim, that bothers me more than powdered milk. Jim's right. There's 800 terminally ill inmates that ought to be released to their family. They don't pose a public danger. So send them home, let them get on Medicaid, Medicare with some confinement, maybe electronic monitor. But there's a lot of important things that we ought to be talking about. The eating habits. Most of these guys are overweight and probably need to be on a little better diet anyway.
Jim Harrington, just real quick, it looks like maybe you and State Senator Whitmire could find some common ground. You guys should get together.
Well, I'm particularly concerned about the medical leave, is why they don't do that, how much money that would save us. I'm particularly concerned because a number of those people are veterans, from the Vietnam War.
Mm-hmm. Well, Jim, and again, it sounds to me as though, we've got you here together this morning. on KTRH. It would be great if you guys maybe could reach out to each other, and maybe there is some common ground that you guys could find, and maybe there is a way to even save even more money here in Texas and make both sides happy. I want to thank you both for coming on the show. It is a subject that we'll certainly keep following. Jim Harrington, Texas Civil Rights Project, and State Senator John Whitmire joining us here this morning. See, I think there was a kumbaya moment there. I think we can find some common ground. Oh, I feel good about that.